I consider myself to be a pretty huge Star Wars fan. I saw the original movie in the theater twice, and as an adult I'm ashamed to admit that I had a collection of unopened Star Wars action figures numbering in the hundreds. So you can imagine my surprise when a ship was announced for X-Wing that I wasn't familiar with at all. Up until now I've had at least a working knowledge of even the more obscure starfighters in this game, but the M3-A Interceptor was a complete mystery to me. I had to go to Wikipedia to learn more about this ship. What I found out isn't surprising, considering that the M3-A is part of the new Scum and Villainy faction. This is a light starfighter favored by criminal organizations such as the Hutt cartels and Black Sun. And it was common in the Star Wars Galaxy MMO, a game which I never played. In X-Wing terms, this is the Scum faction's cannon fodder, somewhat comparable to the Imperial TIE Fighter. Here's the maneuver dial. It's got turns at speeds 1 and 2, banks at 1, 2, and 3, and straights from 2 to 4. It can also pull K-turns at speeds of 3 and 5. I expected this ship to have a speed 5 straight, but it does not, which means that as of now, the Scum faction have 0 ships capable of flying forward at the highest speed in the game. The M3A's stats are very similar to the TIE Fighter, almost identical in fact. They have an attack value of 2, 3 agility, 2 hull, and 1 shield. That single shield means that the M3A is slightly less susceptible to being taken out in a single attack. But with only 3 hits needed to destroy it, this is a very fragile starfighter. For actions, the M3A has focus, target lock, barrel roll, and evade. You'll be needing to use evade often if you want this ship to stay around. The upgrade bar is empty, but this ship has an interesting title card that will let it add a secondary weapon, giving you plenty of build options. Sarasu is the star pilot of this expansion. She has a pilot skill of 8 and costs 20 points. When a friendly ship at range 1 is defending, it can re-roll 1 defense die. So she's basically the defensive counterpart to the Imperial's Howl Runner, whose ability does the same thing for attack dice. Sarasu can fly in a swarm and help keep them all alive, or stick near a single key ship to give a boost to its defensive rolls. She can also use an elite talent. Leighton Ashira has a pilot skill of 6 and costs 18 points. After he defends against an attack that missed, he gets a free evade token. That's pretty interesting. Tensari Point Veteran has a pilot skill of 5 and costs 17 points. He can take an elite talent upgrade. Finally, Cartel Spacer has a pilot skill of 2 and costs 14 points. This means that the Scum faction has 2 ships capable of being flown in fairly large swarms. They can field as many as 7 of these guys, or 8 Benare Pirate Z95s. Sarasu can provide her defensive reroll to a swarm of 3 M3As and 3 Z95s. It would be interesting to see how that would fare against the standard Imperial swarm of Howl Runner plus 6 TIE Fighters. Moving on to the upgrades, there are 5 of them in this expansion, and 3 are cannons. Flechette Cannon is exclusive to the M3A expansion, and it works exactly like an ion cannon, except that it gives the defender a stress token instead of an ion token. It costs 2 points. Next we have another copy of Ion Cannon, which is also available in the B-Wing, Slave 1, and TIE Defender expansions. So if you're a completionist, you already have way more of this card than you'll ever use. It's here for those players who plan to only field Scum and Villainy squadrons. It costs 3 points. Mangler Cannon is new as of Wave 6, and is also available in the IG 2000 expansion. It costs 4 points, and lets you make an attack against a target at ranges 1 to 3 with 3 attack dice. You can change 1 normal hit result to a critical hit. This is pretty neat, and has really good synergy with 10 Num's B-Wing, since his critical hits can't be cancelled by defense dice. And when I look at the IG 2000, you'll see why it's fairly amazing on that ship as well. Stealth Device was previously available only in the Slave 1 expansion, so it's good that we have a cheaper way to pick up more copies now. It costs 3 points and increases your agility by 1 until you take a hit, at which point it's discarded. This is a good upgrade for the M3A, since anything that helps keep it alive is going to be worth the points. And, like Howl Runner's TIE Fighter, this will probably be the #1 modification for Sarasu, since she'll be a prime target whenever she's on the table. Finally, the Heavy Sick Interceptor title costs 2 points and lets you add either a cannon, torpedo, or missile upgrade icon to the ship. This gives you some build flexibility with the M3-A. I'm not sure how many extra points you really want to load onto a ship with only 3 hit points, but this will be fun to play around with. The Cartel Spacer with a flechette cannon costs just 18 points, which is pretty cheap to get the ability to put stress on an enemy ship, for example. And that is the M3-A Interceptor expansion. This is very much a TIE Fighter equivalent for the Scum faction, but with the added bonus of a title card that lets it take on a secondary weapon platform role and play a variety of different roles, if you're willing to risk the added point cost. Whether or not you need the ship in your Scum and Villainy collection depends on your playstyle. If you want to fly swarm builds, then you need at least one just to have Sarasu. Even if you have no intention of playing a lot of Scum builds, you might want this expansion just for a relatively cheap way to get a Mangler cannon, which is useful for the Rebel and Imperial ships that can use it, as well as the extra copy of Stealth Device. Thanks for watching the Cardboard Dungeons X-Wing Ship Reviews. We'll see you next time.